Okay. Now turn the pump on. Turn the fan on. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Lowered Expectations. Thanks for lowering your expectations and hanging out with me here. I do appreciate it. I want to give a big thanks to everyone who supports me on Patreon. I don't think I say that enough, and I do appreciate all of you. A bunch of you have been supporting me before the Lowered Expectations channel even existed, and I know this isn't really the content that you signed up for, so I do appreciate you sticking with me. The last couple of years have been kind of rough, and I hope to get back to the Joel Arsenault YouTube channel and start doing some fun stuff like, well, what I was doing over there before. If you're interested in that channel, link in the description below. Link to the Patreon also in the description below. I want to give a huge thanks also to DMax1234 for donating $20 and highlighting or pointing out to me that I actually had super thanks activated. I had completely forgotten about it, and he donated $20, and yeah, I saw it come across and I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing. Anyway, if you don't want to sign up to Patreon, you just want to do a one-time donation, that's a good way to do it. I'll try to have a little video here showing you exactly where it is. And of course, I understand that not everybody is either comfortable or able to make donations or support my channel financially. And I myself am not in a position where I can support most of the channels that I watch. So I totally get that. If you're watching this video, just thank you for watching, and a thumbs up, comment, all of that stuff really helps. So I appreciate all of you. This video is about my waste oil burning water heater that I'm using to heat my house. And if you haven't watched the videos leading up to this, you're probably going to be confused. I'll leave a playlist here, and yeah, we're going to get into it. Basically where we left off, I was trying to use a stainless steel dish, dog bowl, inside of the burner, so hopefully we can have the fuel flashing off in real time, and that will make the burner start up quicker, shut down quicker, and also easier to clean. So in this video, I'm going to do some testing. Quite honestly, I got behind on my footage. Editing is a huge amount of work. These videos don't make me a lot of money. I do it because I enjoy tinkering around, and it keeps me motivated when I have, when I have to release something, then it motivates me to actually go and do stuff. But it's gotten to the point now where I've got a diesel heater I want to test behind me. I've got fuel pumps I want to test. I got a decibel meter. I've got a ton of stuff that I would really like to do, but I can't do that stuff until I film, and I don't want to do a bunch of filming while I still have a bunch of editing, and I really suck at editing, so I am looking into hiring somebody to do some editing for me. I'm not sure how that's actually going to work out. Anyway, let's get into this video. I will see you guys again at the end. I am going to get all my pump stuff, hook it up, and see where the oil goes. And if it goes reasonably well, then I'm actually going to fire it. If that goes reasonably well, I'll put the water coil on. I just installed this heat sensor onto here, and I have a Wi-Fi controller that I should be able to basically monitor from my phone and set to turn the pump off if the temperature gets above a certain set point. So that's all if everything else goes well. For right now, what I need to do, get the pump, hook it up, and see if the oil is actually going to stick to that ring at all, or if it's just going to flow right through. It's only a few minutes later. Hi, RNG. It's all... Hi. Come here. It's only a few minutes later, and I'm sure it's not picking up on camera very well, but it's actually starting to get dark pretty quick. I've decided to try to use the Wi-Fi controller right away because I need a power source for the pump anyway. If there's a wrong way to do something, folks, I will find that way. Tell you what. Oh, it's off. There we go. Okay. So I'm gonna try to film this with my phone because there ain't no way you guys are gonna see anything from the GoPro. We're not pulling anything yet. So what I need to do now is turn this and see what happens. All right, so far so good. I think I'm going to turn that off. When it's hot, it's going to have more of a tendency to stay along there, so I think I'm going to light it up and see what happens. This is old gas, so it shouldn't pop and bang too much, but let's see. Turn on the fan. Colors from the copper, but also probably some of it from the gas. Who knows? Yes. From what I see, it doesn't look like my idea is working too well. I'm gonna let it warm up slowly, keep filming, but probably won't leave this footage in unless something exciting happens. Yes, that is the actual color of the flame. It looks the same on camera as it does in real life. Alright folks, we're not getting any new oil in. We're not getting anything sucked into the pump. I should have known this wasn't going to work. Normally I just run fuel lines everywhere and I've got stuff dripping and lines popping off. This time I actually took time to make these little fuel line retainers. I made one for all of these, soldered this valve up, made a nice fitting there, got everything connected nice, 2 filters. Of course it's not going to work. I just ran diesel. It doesn't look like diesel anymore, but I just turned this thing on with diesel. Let's see if I can do it one-handed here. Filming with my phone. Oh, look at that. Sounds fine, runs fine. It's almost as though this was intended for something less viscous like diesel and not waste oil. Look at that. Yeah, okay, well, looks like we gotta go on to plan Z. It is considerably later, and I'm using the Peristaltic pump. We're gonna see if it will work in this situation. So I'm just going to turn the oil on and see what happens here. Peristaltic pump is pulling oil out of the barrel. There is a concerning amount of stuff built up around here already. It happened very quickly. Okay. Now I'll turn the pump on. Turn the fan on. Some. Don't know if this is going to be effective or not, but we'll let it run and we'll find out. What a beautiful flame. That is gorgeous. Well, it's not looking great for this setup so far. It's been running for about 10 minutes. Not sure if you guys can see, but there's quite a buildup. And the flame's only in one spot. It turns out I just have some pretty horrible luck. I tested the pump. It was sucking oil through like crazy. It started pumping it in like crazy. And then as soon as I go to fire the heater up and get everything running, well, the little line inside of the peristaltic pump actually broke through. And so it was just pulling air instead of pulling fuel out of the or oil out of the tank. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. I've taken care of it. I've replaced the line. Let's see if this is going to work for more than 3 minutes. Pretty frustrating. This might not seem like a very big deal, but being able to drop a fuel line into a barrel here and not have to come out and fill up the tank that's sitting there every few hours is pretty helpful. Also, having this protective container on there makes me feel better. And being able to check the temperature, although I'm not sure if I trust this thing, because it says 68 degrees Celsius, but it only says 40 something inside. The burner ran for about 8 hours yesterday, so let's go pull the barrel off and take a look inside and see what we're dealing with. Try not to make noise because Andy's probably still sleeping. Let's see. I tell you what is taking an awful beating is this baffle ring. This thing glows red hot the whole time the heater is in use. Pretty easy to make another one, but I assume it'll probably last a year or so. I don't know what I showed you guys of changing the fuel line, but yeah, I changed the fuel line, so now I just pull this pin and after I pull the pin, I can pull the fuel line out. Yes, I can pull the fuel line out. Not sure how well you guys can see this, but for 8 or 9 hours of running, there is a considerable amount of buildup. It looks like it's probably going to be pretty easy to clean up. You can quite clearly see that the oil's not spreading out along this thing. It's all just going directly down there. Kind of feared that would happen, but it seems to be burning well anyway. Let's see if this is stuck in there. Hopefully not. Okay, oh, well, not all of our oil is burning. Alright folks, I thought I would share this with you. Although the burner isn't doing exactly as I hoped it would, it is working extremely well. I'll show you guys, it used to take me about an hour, probably 45 minutes if it was running at full tilt. It would take me about 45 minutes to get it slowed down. I don't know if you guys can see, but there's oil pooling around here. It couldn't burn much cleaner than this. This is cleaner than most household oil furnaces. Anyway, I've got the oil turned on, and I'm going to pull the power to the oil, and we'll time to see how long it takes for the flame to die down. Okay, oil pump is shut off. Wow, that's intense. Beautiful blue flame. It does start to get a bit orange as it shuts down, but it shuts down pretty quickly and with fairly little smoke. Alright, here comes the orange. Do now is turn the fan down a bit just so it's not blowing so much air. Turn the fan down to half, and you can see already there's almost no flame in there. This used to take 45 minutes to an hour to burn out. Look at that, that's amazing. So much better. So much better. And if I want to turn it back up, plug in the fan, rather plug in the pump, and almost immediately she's up and roaring again. Alright folks, don't judge me, but this is the way this is going to stay for now. Got the pipes running in through there, and this is the hot coming from the heater, goes through here, out of the top of the exchanger. And this is the part that's kind of hideous. But it's going to work. So now I'm going to power on the pump. It's a good sign. Air's coming through, it means water's coming through behind it. I've already got the burner going outside, so I can go sit the heat exchanger on once I see we have no leaks. Hopefully we have no leaks. You know what folks, sometimes I just think I'm the biggest screw up in the world, because things that should be easy are not easy for me. I've got a puddle of oil here, and that's from oil coming out along the outside of the fuel line. Yep. So I need to make a new piece of fuel line so that doesn't happen. While I'm trying to make a new fuel line, I should probably talk to you guys about the barrel. It smothered the fire out last night. I didn't film it because I was worried about the oil overflowing. So it started off okay, but once it got quite hot and I got it cranked up, it started fluttering. Temperature dropped, I came out and checked on it, and sure enough, it had completely flamed out. And the bottom of the dish was full of oil. So I restarted it and I tried putting spacers underneath the barrel, spacing it up another 2 inches, and that wasn't quite enough. So I don't know. I'm gonna figure out the fuel line and then we'll start heating some water. It is 5:30 p.m. and I'm about to put the coil on. Fire has been restarted. It starts up way quicker than it used to with this new system. So thanks to everyone who suggested that. And it also shuts down way nicer. Not sure if it's going to be easier or harder to clean. We'll find out in a couple of days, I guess. Quite surprisingly, the barrel didn't burn all the paint off. I did peel a decal or two off. It didn't even get hot enough to sizzle water on the outside, so it's kind of interesting. But what did happen is it flamed out. So I've put some of these holes. I didn't have a very big hole saw, but I put 6 of them. We're going to give this a go. If it doesn't work, I'll probably come back to it tomorrow and put, I'm not sure if I'll put 6 more holes or larger holes. I don't think I filmed any of this either, but I've now got the sensor down here because it was getting way too hot. Basically, the temperature was rising up in the barrel, and the outside of the thermocouple was actually getting hot just from the air building up around it instead of just the water flowing through. So now I've got it down here. It seems to be more realistic, we'll say. It's really hard to read on this thing. I can see it on my phone, but it's saying 45 or 46 degrees. I've got it up there because I lose Wi-Fi signal if I have it too low. So I'm gonna put the barrel on now and we'll see what happens. All right, I have the barrel in place. So far it sounds okay. We'll see if these holes are enough. I have a feeling that they're not gonna be enough. We'll find out. Well, that's a great sign, folks. It's a little while later and this isn't making any funny noises. I took a look in at the flame off camera and it's fairly stable. The temperature is coming up. See if we can see what it says on the controller here. So we're 66 Celsius on that, and I've actually got the furnace fan on in the house, and show you guys the footage of that now. Alright, I spared you guys some of the details, but Florence and I have verified 35 degrees coming out of here. However, 50 degrees, a little over 50 degrees, going into the heat exchanger. So the furnace is pulling out quite a bit of heat energy. I am pleased with that. That is a very nice temperature drop. I was only getting about 10 degrees when I was using the fan. You can quite clearly see that the oil's not spreading out along this thing. It's all just going directly down there. I kind of feared that would happen, but seems to be burning well anyway. This is what I'm tinkering with today. I've got a frequency generator and I've currently got it set at 1% duty cycle, which is how long it stays on for basically. And then frequency, and I'm playing with it between 1 and 10 hertz. And so basically it's getting power from a power adapter here. And I've also got power going to this side of a MOSFET board, which is basically a switch that can switch very quickly and with no moving parts. So I'm robbing the power from the controller and also using that to power this side of the MOSFET board. and then the signal itself, or the frequency that it's feeding it, is coming into these two terminals through these two wires. And then these wires here are going to connectors that are going to fuel pumps. And this one is looped because it's used. This one is capped because it's new. I'm going to be cutting this one apart to do some tests to see how loud it is. But anyway, I'll show you what happens when I turn this up to 1 hertz. Anyway, I'll crank it up now so you guys can see. Whoops, that's duty cycle. That's twice a second, 3 times a second, 4 times a second. So that's 15 hertz. Typically your diesel heater won't run any higher than this. And even if it runs at this hertz, you're gonna have problems. It's gonna be too much fuel. They generally run somewhere between 5 and 6. So that's right here. That's 6. And that's 5. Anyway, that's what I'm tinkering with. I've got to figure out the duty cycle. I don't know that 1% is ideal, so I'm going to do some tinkering around, and this might end up being the fuel system for my waste oil burner. Tell you what, folks, I grew up in a house where my mom was always shouting, close the door, we're not heating the outside, or we're not paying to heat the outside. It sure is nice to have lots of heat and not have to worry about it. Of course, this is an experimental system, so I do have things to worry about. But currently, I have these two 200-liter totes, or containers, barrels, full of water at around 75 degrees Celsius, somewhere around there. Between 70 and 75, it's hard to get an accurate reading. I just turned the temperature up on the thermostat. I turned it up to 22 degrees Celsius, which is this much Fahrenheit, because instead of going outside and actually turning down the burner, I just decided to use a little bit more heat, make it a little bit more cozy. If the heater continues to work this good, I might actually add in the 3rd barrel. That being said, I am going to do some upgrades to it. I'm in the middle of doing upgrades to it to make it so that it has some safeties, and it will start slowing down or burning less fuel, making less heat once it reaches like 80 or 85 at the burner itself. Currently, it's all just controlled by how much oil I'm dumping into it. So anyway, let's go take a look at the thermostat. This is the new thermostat that I just installed yesterday. I'm not going to go into great detail explaining this, but basically I'm using the first stage of this to just turn on the fan to circulate air, and because I have a heat exchanger, well, it circulates heat when it circulates the air. And then the second stage actually, second stage will only come on. Moose just fell out of his bed. Having a rough go, bud? I got this programmable thermostat, which has some extra features that are going to allow me to actually run my furnace in a more economical and sensible way. So this is a programmable thermostat. That part is obvious, but it also has an airplane flying over. Thanks, airplane. Multi-stage, that's what they call it. This is a multi-stage thermostat, which means I'm going to be able to use it, hopefully anyway, I'm going to be able to use it to just turn on the fan if there is heat in the water,
We'll turn on the fan, and then if the temperature continues to drop in the house, it will turn on the regular furnace and keep the house warm. So I'm gonna have to do some reading on this. I'm not really sure how it works, but we'll find out.
There you have it, folks. I hope you enjoyed the video. This was a bit of a challenge to edit because I was trying to get you guys up to speed and trying to inform you as much as possible without making it a 4-hour long video that absolutely no one would watch. Quite honestly, you're not up to speed. I'm going to try to release another video somewhere midweek, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that happen because editing takes time. I had mentioned earlier about looking for an editor, and that's going to have some challenges in itself. Just because I'm looking for an editor doesn't mean I'm making a bunch of money off of these videos. I'll put up a screenshot here so that you guys can see what I actually made on one of my recent videos that actually did quite well in view count. And I ended up spending approximately $400 on this video, not including the time spent shooting the video, the time spent editing, or the fuel, or a bunch of other things, including time that I spent doing this instead of working at my day job where I could have actually made some money. I enjoy tinkering around with things, and I enjoy sharing it with you guys. So if you want to support me, leave a comment, leave a thumbs up on the video. If you're able to, support me on Patreon. If you want to just leave a super thanks, that would be great. There's an airplane passing over, but I've already had this clip ruined by a flock of geese and some other airplanes, so we're just gonna leave that in. Geese. There's geese passing now. You hear that? I just can't win. Gotta wait for that pass. I don't know how I would ever give footage to an editor because I'd have to go through clips like this and delete them. Or just say, editor's note, don't bother looking at this, but you've already looked at it. In the last couple of days, I've actually been running the burner with a new fuel pump. Not going to spoil it for you guys, but I've been running it with a new fuel pump and with a heat sensor that actually turns the pump on and off based on water temperature coming out of the burner. And so that will be kind of the subject of the next video. So if you don't want to miss it, be sure to subscribe. And yeah, if it's not this channel, if there's some other YouTube channel, especially small ones that you really enjoy watching, consider going and supporting them financially if you can, even if it's $5 or $2. Again, thanks everyone who supports me on Patreon. I hate thanking people. I have this thing in my head where I feel like I'm excluding those who can't support me or are not comfortable supporting me financially. And I feel bad for thanking people who are helping me because I know not everyone can help me in that way. So I just want to say I really appreciate all of your views. I know I have plenty of viewers who have been watching the channel since it started. Since before this channel started, you've been watching my Joel Arsenault YouTube channel. And I appreciate all of you. I don't want to come across that I don't. So almost at 10,000 subscribers. So the subscriber count on this channel is now far exceeding the one on my original channel. So I'm happy about that. Anyway, I'm starting to rant and this video is long enough, so I'm going to leave here and show you guys one last thing before I sign out. I have been telling people that there's no such thing as brushless DC motor heaters. That would just be silly and pointless. And then somebody sent me a link and I now have this. I'm not even going to try to say it. I paid my own money for this thing. It was almost $300, and I'm doing it because I'm curious and because I feel like a bit of an ass for saying that they didn't exist. So I haven't fired this thing up yet, but I'm going to be doing a video on it. Hopefully in the next couple of days, I'll record it. Not sure when it's going to come out. But I'm going to do a video on this. It's actually a different heater. I can tell just by picking it up, it's heavier. and it has 2 brushless DC motors. 1 motor for the combustion air and 1 motor for the heating air. Quite an interesting product, and yeah, thanks. I forget the name, I'm sorry, but thanks for a couple of people for pointing this out to me and letting me know that they actually do exist. That's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. Sorry for the rant. I'll see you next time.